I experienced the most racist encounter of my life. Imagine a woman kicking water in your face and laughing at you with her husband. Imagine being accused of exchanging intimate favors for cruise tickets. I'm currently on a cruise with Virgin Voyages, and I just want to caveat this video by saying Virgin, absolutely incredible. Their staff, absolutely incredible. The support and understanding I got today from the Virgin staff, that's really what saved me from losing my head. So I'm on this cruise with my mum. It's her first time going on a cruise. She's super excited about it. As part of this cruise, I was given access to Rich's rooftop, and it's a part of the rooftop of the ship reserved for VIP guests. Now, typically when you're on a Virgin cruise, you're given a red wristband, but if you're VIP, you're given a black wristband. The black wristband, you get access to the rooftop, or you can also get access to the rooftop with a red wristband if you have a VIP access card. My mum and I decided we wanted a chill one, and we just wanted to lounge at the rooftop. So we go to the rooftop and we get like a little day bed. My mum takes a picture of me, and an older gentleman jumps in front of the picture, and he's being like very jovial and silly. So I think, oh, maybe he's a bit tipsy, he just wants to be in the picture, whatever. I just don't think anything of it. 5 minutes after that, I noticed him and his partner. They sat in the day bed like opposite us. She goes off to do something. He said, oh, can I ask you a question? I said, oh yeah, sure, go ahead. And he says, how did you get in here? I said, excuse me. He said, how are you in here? I said, how am I in where? He said, here. And I said, I used my card and I got in. I have a Rich's rooftop card. So I then asked, how are you in here? He says, oh, I have a black band. I have a band. And I said, oh, okay, cool. And I sit down, and a member of staff comes up to me, and he says to me, oh, I just want to let you know that one of the other people on the cruise has complained about you. And I said, complain about me? Why? And he said, oh, they said that you were taking pictures of them and you made them feel uncomfortable. And I was like, what? And then I immediately realized who it was. And then I said to the member of staff, I didn't even take his picture. My mum took a picture of me. Her back was to him, and he jumped into the picture, and he was like, don't worry, I saw everything. I saw everything. I'm just letting you know that they've complained. I was like, thank you so much for letting me know. At this point, I didn't assume there was like a big issue. So I'm like, let me not take another picture. Maybe some people just like don't like cameras around, and that was his way of being passive aggressive and saying like, oh, I don't want you to take a picture while you're up here. Cool. So I was like, let me not take any pictures. So I just sat with my mum, we were chilling. The gentleman and his partner had realized, oh, they're still here. They saw the staff member speak to me, and then the staff member like smiled, joked with me. I even got drinks, and I think they put two and two together, and they were like, well, we complained about them and they didn't get kicked out of this area. Like, what's going on? I then see the gentleman stand up and go to the bar, and something in my spirit said, Tony, go to the bar too. Go and grab another drink. I wasn't even thirsty. I just wanted to go to the bar because I just felt in my spirit that he was going to complain about me again. Bear in mind, I've not done anything to this man. I'm simply existing with my mother. I also mentioned that we were the only black people in Rich's rooftop at this time. I go to the bar. Again, the staff are being absolutely lovely. They're like, oh, hey, like, do you want something to drink? Let me sort you out, cool. And I was like ordering my drink. And then I hear him shouting, I don't care. I don't care. Get them out. I don't want them here. Get them out of here. And then the staff member who'd been so nice to me had said to this guy, like, look, I can't just, they're allowed to be here. I can't just kick them out. And he says, these are your rules. These are your rules. They don't have a black band. They shouldn't be in here. And he's like, they have a card. They can be in here. He was shouting at the staff, asking them why the hell they hadn't kicked me and my mum out, that he does not want us here. I go back to my mother, I hand her a drink, and I'm like, Mum, you know, this guy is shouting at the staff, saying that the staff should kick us out. My mom's like, what have we done? I'm like, Mummy, he's seething, absolutely seething that we have not been kicked out. I do not know how miserable a human being has to be that pressed about something. You might have seen us in the beginning with our red bands and you took issue with that. Okay, cool, right? But the second a staff member, to be fair, the second I told you we have cards, you should just let it rest. But the second a staff member told you they're allowed to be here, they have cards, they have access to be here, that should have been it. At this point in my mind, I'm like, okay, this man and his girlfriend, whatever, clearly racist, right? I've come to this conclusion because it's the only thing that is making sense in my mind right now. My mom and I wanted to go into the hot tub, and we were like, okay, when these people leave, we'll go in. So the people leave, we're about to go in, and we see this couple go into the hot tub. And then I say to my mom, Mom, I'm gonna go in the hot tub. And she's like, really? And I say, yeah. Your annoyance about my existence is not gonna change the outcome. After 5 or 10 minutes of them being in the hot tub, I get into the hot tub. I'm just there. I don't say anything. I just sit in the hot tub. I have my drink in my hand. And do you know what happens? The woman kicks water into my face. She's laid in the hot tub and she intentionally kicks her feet to splash water into my face. And at that point, I knew exactly what they were doing. They were trying to intentionally push me and antagonize me in a way that they hoped would garner a reaction from me. An outburst or a reaction that is so significant, it would then justify staff kicking me out. So she splashes this water in my face, and her partner burst into laughter at this water hitting my face. And do you know what I did? I wiped my face and I just looked into his face like nothing had happened, because there was no way in hell I was going to let you get me to that point. And I had more than enough reason and right to be angry. And they realized this isn't working. So then they decide to be very passive aggressive in the way they're communicating. They're talking about how I don't belong there. And then the husband says, or I don't even think they're married. The man says, oh, honey, this is the life. And we didn't even need big fake eyelashes to be here. I turn to him and I say, do you have a problem with me being here? He says, yeah, I do. I do have an issue. You don't belong here. And I'm like, excuse me? And he said, we paid to be here. We didn't just get given it for free. We paid to be here. I don't want you here. Then the woman kind of like scoffs and I'm like, just so confused, right? And then she turns to me, the woman turns to me and she's like, oh, we didn't have to anyone to be here. The woman turns to me and she's like, oh, we didn't have to anyone to be here. I don't want to say the full thing because I know how social media is before, like the TikTok or wherever I post this, like locks this video down. But she basically, long story short, she implied that I swapped intimate favors for access to Richard's rooftop or access to the cruise. Like there was no way me as I assume a black woman could be on this cruise or in that area unless I had swapped intimate favors with someone at Virgin. I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna keep quiet because this is gonna go absolutely nowhere. Like they want a reaction out of me, and in my frustration I'm explaining things I shouldn't even have to explain. I then see from the corner of my eye a staff member walk up to my mum. I'm scared to tell my mum what happened because, you know, mothers they love us, they protect us. And I said to myself, if I go and tell my mum what happened now, this is gonna be a whole different series of events, right? I'm at the hot tub and I say to my mum, Mummy, I've got something to tell you, but you need to promise me that you won't react. Please don't react. She's like, what's up? And I'm like, Mum, just be cool. And she's like, what's up? And I tell her that the people in the hot tub, when I went in there, Mummy, they kicked water at me, laughed at me, and then they accused me of swapping filler, you know, for access to the cruise. And my mum was like, you're kidding me. I said, Mummy, I swear to you. I swear to you. Like, I was in so much shock. I wasn't on the verge of tears because I didn't want to give them satisfaction. But you know when you're like you're bubbling up inside out of emotional frustration because you can't whoop somebody and you know you want to react, but you can't react, right? That was the verge of like emotion I was on. And I see my mum's face. She's like, do you want me to say something? I'm like, Mummy, please, no, they want a reaction, please. I then asked my mum, like, the lady that came up to you, what did she say to you? Like the staff member. My mum said, oh, they said that we should go get black bands. And I realized in that moment that the staff member who witnessed him, this man, like jump in front of my picture, who faced the brunt of this man saying, I want them out. These are your rules, get them out. They don't have the band. I want them gone. He requested these bands for us. So I go over to him, I say, thank you so much. He's like, I've worked with people like this before. I'm so sorry. And he's like, I organized for you to get back bands. And I said, I know. And I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you so much. They can't say, this man and his partner can't say, I want them gone because they're black. And I don't want black people here. But they can say, I want them gone because they don't have black bands. Even when he said they have a card, he could be like, oh, I don't care, they don't have black bands. So Amir was like, look, the issue's your band, we'll get you a new band. Me and my mum walk downstairs to go get the bands. And again, the staff was so lovely. And she gives us our black band and she says to us, to be fair, like technically we're like VIP from the beginning. You should have had this from the beginning. I was like, oh, no problem. Like, it's cool. And I tell her about what happened and she's really apologetic. I'm like, look, it's not your fault. 'Cause at the end of the day, like, there's only so much vetting of a person that like a company like this can do, right? And I'm even surprised this couple came on this cruise, because one thing about Virgin, they're very forward thinking, which is why I love the brand. Super embracing of people's differences, a very diverse team and staff. It's like, if you're going to be a racist on a cruise, this ain't a cruise to be a racist on. I didn't want them to have the satisfaction of assuming that we had left because of them. And my mum and I didn't even plan to be at this rooftop all day, but after that we said, we are going to stay at this rooftop because we know you don't want us at this rooftop, right? My mum says to me beforehand, she's like, Tony, you need to record this, you need to get a picture of their faces. And up until that point, like, I hadn't recorded anything because I was like in the hot tub, and I'm like not bringing my phone in the hot tub because I don't want it to fall in the water. And I didn't have any evidence of their racism. My mom's like, you need to have evidence of their faces, right? Because obviously I know what's going on, the staff know what's going on. I'm like, I need to have evidence of their faces. And where he had lied before that we were taking photos, I'm like, okay, you lied? Okay, let that be your truth now, because I'm gonna take my photos. I said, Mum, come, join me in the hot tub, because it was just me previously when all of this was going on. Oh my gosh, let me also reference this. They made a comment, they were talking to each other, they were being very passive aggressive, as in talking about us but to each other, right? And they made a comment about going on a tour the day prior, and how someone wanted to sit them at the back of the bus, and they said, oh, back of the bus, we don't do that here, we don't sit in the back of the bus here. And I honestly felt like that was an indirect, direct, racistic. I don't think it had anything to do with the actual bus. I don't think it had anything to do with where they were sitting. They said that on purpose. When we get to the rooftop, I turn to him and I say, well, turn to him and his partner. To be fair, she said the most vile things to me, but he had the most vim. So I say, I just want to thank you so much for your racism, because it highlighted to the staff that we had the wrong band on, and so they've given us our black bands. I think at that point they realized, like, they have not won this battle. And then I said, oh, and you'll be expecting an email from Virgin. That was a little fib. I just want to say in the moment, just to get them riled up. And the guy was like, oh, okay, yeah, well, whatever, we'll wait on our email, whatever. I think the man was like, oh crap, like, we've obviously messed up. Like, these people, not only are they meant to be here, but they're obviously here for a reason. And so he starts to try and make small talk, like, oh, did you go out to the... Bear in mind, all this stuff has happened. You've complained about me, you've shouted stuff about me when I was just like sitting down reading a book, drinking a drink. Your partner splashed water in my face, you laughed at me, you said I was doing egregious things. Anyway, so he tries to make small talk. My mom's right next to me. I say to him, respectfully, do not talk to me. And I'm thinking, how dare you? After everything, you want to pretend like none of this happened? How freaking dare you? Anyway, another lady came into the hot tub. They're like making small talk with her, and I'm overhearing them and just making mental notes, right? And they say to the lady that their names are Chuck and Stephanie.
Hey, what are all your names?
Stephanie. The guy's Chuck, the woman's Stephanie, and they're living in Alberta. They're from Alberta. The lady, Stephanie, said that they were between like Alberta and Houston. I don't know if any of that is true, right? But I do know that I recorded what I could record. Anyway, in the end, they ended up leaving the hot tub, and as they leave, the man, Chuck, says, oh, good evening, ladies. And my mum and I just ignored him. I think at that point he was worried. He was trying to like rectify the situation in some way, or save the situation in some way, but it was already way too late. You just kept going and going, and our sheer existence was enough for you to try and trigger me to that extent. Anyway, I say all this to say, one more time, shout out to Virgin staff, because the way they dealt with that situation was great. Like, they did not back down. Immediately someone complained about me and they knew it was unwarranted, they like essentially warned me about it. And it came to like even making sure we had our bands and just like really taking care of my mum and I. They were absolutely impeccable. Like, I already loved Virgin as a brand. I love Virgin even more now for how they had our back. Like, the staff were absolutely amazing, but these two people, some of the most vile and immature human beings I have ever had the dishonor of coming across in my life. You're not going to scare me into leaving a place, nor are you going to scare me into silence either. Like, Chuck, Stephanie, if those are their real names, like, do better. Just sad that people in this world behave like this.
I mean, this is just crazy. It's a clear example of how far we still have to go before we can truly call this a just society. Now, some people will say they don't believe her, that the story is one-sided, but let's be honest. If you're black in America, you already know this kind of thing happens all the time. So often, in fact, that most of us aren't even surprised anymore when it does. And that's the real tragedy. Still, I hold on to hope. Hope that one day we'll reach a point where we see each other as human beings, not just the differences in our racial backgrounds. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And until next time, please stay safe.